done in the Senate. You are unhappy. How unhappy are you and why?
Well, I'm unhappy because people's healthcare premiums are going to spike. Yesterday, when I was at Fort Worth Airport waiting 6 hours because of all the delays, someone came up running to me and he said, "Look, my father's insurance in Arizona, who's a cab driver, is going to go up from $44 a month to $2,600 a month." That is outrageous. The Democrats should have fought for some help for that taxi driver and for 20 million people around America like that.
How much of this do you put at the feet of Charles Schumer, the Democratic leader in the Senate?
Most of it. I mean, he's the leader of the Senate. This deal would never have happened if he had not blessed it. Don't take my word for it. Take the word of other senators who are saying that they kept Senator Schumer in the loop the whole time. Look, I've worked with Senator Schumer. He did an incredible job on the CHIPS Act, on the IRA, on infrastructure, but it's time for him to be replaced. He is not meeting the moment. He's out of touch with where the party's base is.
Congressman, you know all shutdowns end, and if Republicans were adamant, as they said they were, that they were never going to negotiate over the health care part of this debate until the government was reopened, what other alternative was there?
Well, I don't think that they would have been intransigent on that. Michael Lawler, a Republican, was floating the possibility of a one-year extension to the Affordable Care Act tax credits. So we wanted a permanent tax credit extension, but could we have gotten 1 year or 6 months? I think so, especially when Donald Trump was reeling. He said that he lost the election because of the shutdown. He was putting pressure on them to get rid of the filibuster. Frankly, we should have at least had them get rid of the filibuster. That would have been a better option. But here we got nothing. And here's the point. Obviously, Senator Schumer entered this thinking that the Republicans were not going to be intransigent. Why else make the Affordable Care Act the purpose of the fight if you thought there was no chance of success?
Here's the thing. Democrats are just trying to figure out a way to scapegoat somebody so that most of them can try to hold on to some form of position and that they don't look stupid in front of their constituents and the people that they represent inside of their districts. But the Congress should have never even done this in the first place. We wouldn't even be having this conversation. They should have did what Trump said that they were supposed to do in the very beginning, which is what they then did, and now they got to be held accountable for shutting the government down. And Chuck Schumer, I do believe that Chuck had some of these Democrats of the 8 tried to figure out who was the most middle liberal or the middle Democrat of the 8 to eventually open up the government so that he can then say, hey, listen, I stood for what I stood for, but I don't necessarily think that we won this thing. The Republicans were unwilling to negotiate. This is what your premiums are going to be. I also don't believe that he just randomly walked into or ran into somebody from a cab and they said, well, my father's premiums is going to go up from $44 to $2,600. I don't believe that happened. They do this all the time. Politicians lie on a regular basis, and we needed to get the government open. We still are dealing with all of the delays from the air traffic controllers. Air traffic controllers were calling out. Trump offered $10,000 bonuses. I just recently did a video on that. That will be coming out later on today. 2 air traffic controllers that stayed. Even Trump floated the idea of getting rid of the filibuster so that he could open up the government without the Democrats' help. But we had 8 brave Democrats that stood tall, and now people are feeling some type of way about it and they want to crash out. I think that they did the right thing. I did think that they did the courageous thing, but they're going to use Chuck Schumer as a scapegoat and try to get him up out of there. Another thing that I want to say is when you think about all of the things that he named as far as saying that he did a phenomenal job, those were all under Biden. The CHIPS Act, the infrastructure deal, all of that stuff happened under Biden. It was easy to get that type of stuff done when you had a Democratic president.
You mentioned being at the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. Was a prolonged shutdown, meaning 45 days, 50 days, 55 days, going to be worth it, that damage? And disruption to American travel
Nope.
over the Thanksgiving holidays, over this healthcare issue? You were willing to go that far?
I believe we could have gotten a deal before Thanksgiving that would have had some extension of the
Crazy.
Affordable Care Act tax credits, or that would have forced Donald Trump to say, let's get rid of the filibuster. And then the Republicans could vote with 51 Republican senators in the House to do that. What I don't understand is why we are the ones who abandoned a lot of the working class folks who are going to see their premiums go up and didn't put up the fight. That's really what's frustrating. I do think this could have gotten resolved still before the Thanksgiving weekend.
Does it astonish you, Congressman, that after Tuesday's election results, when Democrats did feel emboldened for the first time in a calendar year, this is the result?
It disappoints me. It perplexes me. I guess I just don't understand why we have a group of people who are so out of touch with where our party's base is. They just came out in record numbers to give a win to Abigail Spanberger and Mikey Sherrill and Zohran Mamdani. They said, look, Democrats, we want you to stand up to this administration's lawlessness. We want you to stand up for health care. We want you to stand up for working families. We want you to show fight for people against a system that is not working. And we disappointed them. Now, can we recover? Yes. I think that the first step to recovering is to have generational change and new leadership. Someone referred to me as a backbencher, calling for the Senate Majority Leader to step down. And I don't take those things personally. Some people were coming saying, oh, Khanna's not a backbencher. But my point was, those of us in the back need to come to the front. It's time for a new generation of leadership for this party and this country.
On that point, the Senate Minority Leader, Chuck Schumer, do you believe he withstands this through this year and all of next year? There's not a scheduled election, as you know, Congressman, until after the midterms. Leadership election.
Look, he's going to make his own. He's going to make his own decision. I doubt I'm on his call list, but if he were to call, what I would say, Senator, we've worked together on the CHIPS Act. I've praised you many times when you have done things that have moved the country forward, but you're not meeting this moment. And I think it's time for someone else to lead in the Senate, and you should serve out the remainder of your term with dignity and working on the issues you care about. I think Speaker Pelosi provides a great model for a graceful way to cap out a career.
I've talked to some Democrats today, Congressman, who have heard from those in the institutional support base, the partisan support base of the Democratic Party. And there is conversation today about a donor boycott because there is so much fury over this deal. Do you believe that will manifest?
I don't know. I do know that the activist base is the one that it really wants a new leadership. I mean, obviously Chuck Schumer has a lot of donors and is a formidable fundraiser, and my guess is that the donor opinion is split. But we need to, as a party, stop listening so much to the donor base. Not that you can't listen to people who contribute, but we're overly focused on that, and I think that's one of the reasons that we're disconnected from grassroots politics.
I think that Chuck Schumer didn't have a choice, that Democrats wasn't ever going to try to relent. And so in order to actually appease the American people, because there was a lot of people that was complaining that the government was shutting down, that they didn't get their money, that they were furloughed and all of that stuff, that they did what they had to do. Now, Democrats was banking on Trump hitting the nuclear option, and obviously we won again. And the people are happy with the fact that the government is back open. They just not happy with the fact that Democrats don't have any backbone, which they should be working with the Trump administration anyway. Let me know what you guys think inside of the comments. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to keep you guys in the loop.